A piece that is more full of questions than answers. And it's full of questions because it's the nature of this particular show. This topic that I'm going to be discussing lends itself to more questions than answers. And let me start it from here. That this revolution we are into right now started in ground zero, and it was started by the lawyers, followed by the teachers, and then the rest joined, and it became a big swell, and then we later joined to support our compatriots on ground zero. And so my theory has always been that we in the diaspora has tried for many years to get this thing going. It really did not quite succeed. And so when ground zero came and got everything going with very competent professionals at the lead, my whole attitude was, let's support these professionals. Let's support the lawyers. Let's support the teachers. Let's support their leadership of the struggle, and be their resource people in the diaspora, rather than jump ahead and take over the struggle. And I did discuss it with some people, and when they disagreed with me, they're like, "Oh, we've been in this thing for a long time, so no, we have to lead." I'm like, "Well, that's usurping," and I did use the word usurp. That's usurping the powers of these people who actually got this thing going on the ground. We tried for a long time, we didn't. We were not able to get it going. But now that they've really succeeded and they're on the ground, man, big opportunity for us. But it did not quite work out that way. Fast forward, the big fight came in 2017. We restored our independence. La République took the war on us, and we've been fighting the war. Now we're at a stage where you can call it midstream. Now my topic today is, at this midstream, I've heard of meetings being called in Geneva, in Brussels, and people have been going to this meeting. But when I heard of these meetings, I had more questions than answers, because first they started as though they were kind of secret meetings. Then I heard names of people who have gone there, and they've been there like Friday a week ago. And then I heard that at the same time I heard that Tanganji Paul was in Geneva too. I'm talking about the one that took place in Switzerland a week ago. So I was like, okay, who is inviting these people? Who is invited? What's the criteria for invitation? Who is paying for it? What's the topic? I had all these questions. And I think you should have these questions too. And there's a reason why. Because a lot of these kinds of meetings have taken place on our behalf, but nothing really came out of them. In fact, what came out of them has led us to where we are today. You know, Nigeria on our left is a free country. They've built their country. They're free people. And La République on our right have their own kind of freedom. They've built their country, or they're building their country the best way they know how. But we in the middle, we who sandwich Nigeria and La République down the coastal part of that whole mid-continent, we're still in the bush. We don't have any roads. Our economy, in fact, we don't have an economy. Whatever exists there as the economy has been looted, vandalized, and whatever cannot be vandalized, they're exploiting it without us sharing in it. So the question is, why are we in this limbo? Why are we in this limbo? We've had people, and they've been meeting as hell. There was the first meeting. I'm going to step back. I'm going to come straight to our territory. There was a meeting that held in Manfe, before independence. In that meeting, there was a pre-independence meeting that held there. And in that meeting, the British who organized the meeting took out the choice of independence. They said there will be no independence. You either join Nigeria or you join La République du Cameroon. I remember the history has it that the Fond of Bafut said, no, we want to be our own independent country because Nigeria is water and La République is fire. We want our independence. But they did not get independence. They were not in control. They did not call the meeting. They were simply invited to meet there. And when they met there, the British were chairing it, and they decided what the terms of that meeting would be. And so we're stuck with joining Nigeria or La République du Cameroon. Then, after the plebiscite, there was a meeting that took place in Fumban. It was the same thing in Fumban. It was chaired by La République and its French agents, and our people showed up. In fact, most showed up without even knowing what the agenda of that meeting was. The reason being that Ahidjo has sent a copy of the constitution that La République has already drawn in their own parliament. Sent a copy to Foncha, and Foncha hid it from the rest of the Southern Cameroon delegation. And so when they went there, La République brought out the constitution, discussed it, and people looked very confused. And they said, okay, we're going to, this meeting has taken place. I want the record to show that this meeting has taken place. We'll call another meeting. So just go home. Yeah, and I know you had a good time. You had a lot of food. There was partying all the time. You had all the women you wanted in Fumban. So just go home. And that was the end of that. And in that confused state, the fate of Southern Cameroons was sealed. Because shortly after that, Ngor was sent as the Federal Inspector of Administration, and Ahidjo ruled the Southern Cameroons through that Federal Inspector Ngor. Foncha himself said the only thing that he controlled was the police, and even that he was struggling with Ahidjo to keep the police. So that has been our history of negotiations. And now, after our people have protested, a lot of people have been killed, schools have not gone, there's been a lot of sacrifices. Then another meeting comes again, and we're asking the same questions. Who is organizing this meeting? Who is paying for it? Who is invited? Why are they invited? What is expected? It looks like all the past meetings are repeating themselves, but are the Ambazonian people ready to have done all this protest, all this killing, all the businesses lost, all the family members lost, all the villages burned for nothing? Who is calling these meetings? Now, here's what I've gotten. What I understand is that the meeting is being called by it's being called by an NGO, but it's sponsored by La République du Cameroun. It's sponsored by the Swiss government. It's also sponsored by the Belgian government, and I also hear the United States is part of it. Those are the people sponsoring the meetings. And I don't know how they selected those who are going to the meeting. I don't know if those who are going for the meeting understand what they're going to do, or I don't know what their expectations are. They're feeding them, they're housing them. I have an itinerary, which if you look at that itinerary, you'll be like, why? What kind of a meeting is it? What kind of meeting is it that they're sponsoring you and they're giving you this good treatment? If you just give me a moment, I'm going to bring out the itinerary and tell you what it says. I was lucky in my research to find the itinerary. Okay, the agenda shows that on the 17th of May 2019 at 10:30 there will be the opening introduction of all participants, the objectives of the meeting, agenda for the 2 days, and also the desired outcomes. This is interesting. So at 10:30 they have the opening, and in that opening there will be an introduction of the participants. objectives of the meeting, agenda for the 2 days, and desired outcomes. At 11 o'clock, there will be presentation of HD, the humanitarian. HD is a humanitarian organization that is hosting this. At 11:30, there will be introduction to the peace processes. At 1 o'clock, there will be lunch joined by representatives of the Swiss Federal Department of Foreign Affairs. At 15 hours, that's at 3 o'clock, there will be a closed door discussion. At 16 hours, discussion with David Harlan, the executive director of the organization hosting this. Then there will be a wrap up at 5:15, and at 5:30 the tour of the old town, and then there will be dinner at 1900. So that's the criteria. There will be a tour, there will be dinner. Are you beginning to see Fumban somewhere here? There will be a tour, there will be dinner. On Saturday the 18th, there will be debriefing from the first day, training on negotiations. There will be lunch. There's a drafting of a common position on talks, and then conclusion and next steps. So that's the agenda. It looks like it's an agenda of I don't want to give any more meaning to it than I just read, but that is the agenda for these meetings. Now, some people are speculating that it's the beginning of negotiations, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's saying no, and this friend is really deep into these things. He said cannot be any negotiations. That before any real negotiations take place, there has to be a fact-finding mission. So if we're assuming that La République somehow has come to the conclusion that yes, the UN or the US are correct, Thibault Nash is correct that there will not be a military victory here, so let's negotiate. If that's what it's come down to, this friend says no, negotiations do not take place until there's a fact-finding mission, because to negotiate we all have to agree on the facts. And so the question is, so what are these people being invited to come and do? Who is inviting them, and for why, and what is the criteria? Because to be true, if these are negotiations, the question is, are these people qualified to go negotiate for us? What gives them the standing? I've already told you that this struggle was started from ground zero. Ground zero is paying the price for it. They're the ones fighting and dying. I haven't heard of people coming from ground zero to be part of this meeting. So what kind of meeting is it? Is there any meeting that should take place without representatives of ground zero, without Amber Boys there? Because these people actually pick guns and they're fighting, so they know what they're fighting for. Nobody should think that Amber Boys don't know what they're fighting for. No, they do. And if Nambere is an example, I heard him articulate very clearly, what they're fighting for, and that if the diaspora is not ready to support them, they will still fight for it. So I just wanted to come on and say there's something going on that is not correct. I can now say for sure that's not correct, because things are happening. You're seeing people going away. There's been no debate. People are going on. I think they're actually going on a personal level, because most of the people being invited are people who some of them don't represent any organization. Some of them represent themselves. In fact, most of them represent themselves because most of the people in the diaspora, those who have spoken loudly, were speaking from their own personal point of view. Some are one-man organizations, some are 5-people organizations, some are organizations that don't even exist except on paper, but they have these people who have gone out and spoken. And so if you speak loud, then you're invited. And the question is, do they represent themselves, or are they representing Ambazonia? If they are going to represent Ambazonia, I would say the process of selecting those who are going to represent us must be different, because we don't want to get the same results like our history shows that we've gotten, that ended having us where we are now. And that's really what I want to bring to the attention of all of us. If you've been wondering what these meetings are about, I am wondering the same thing. And I think we all should be asking questions. And to be honest with you, I'm thinking that these meetings are really a delaying tactic. It's a delaying tactic by La République du Cameroon and maybe its allies in order to delay any processes that could take place at the UN and give them time to continue the killing on the ground. This past weekend, there was a 5-month-old baby that was shot. I think that one has made international news. But that's not the first baby. To be honest with you, I don't know why this one really took the international community by surprise or by storm. I don't know why the reaction is better than any other reaction, because this is not the first baby they have shot point blank. We know Swivism. That was the first one. At that point, La République came out and pretended like, oh, that was an error. No, those errors have continued. They've continued. I was just at a conference where one of the activists there testified that they shot the head of a baby and took it off because the bullet, there was not very much of a head to still maintain. There was not enough head to still maintain a head there after the bullet has passed through it. That's what's going on. In Bali, they took out a whole family. So while all these games are being played, the killing goes on. The question is, should we be participating in some of these gimmicks? Should these conferences be called? Should our people go there at individual levels? Should they ask a lot more questions before they go? And should they, after getting answers, say, no, we are not ready for that? Now, let's assume that it's even part of the process of a negotiation. Who selects the people to go and negotiate for us? Because my understanding is that these people are being called and selected by the person inviting them. Okay? So the people who are going to go, who they're preparing to be part of our negotiation, is to be selected by a third party. How condescending can that be to us? We're not grown up enough to know who we want to go and represent us, or to select among ourselves who should go and represent us. Just questions. I told you that it will be a little show of questions. And I want all of us to be asking these questions and thinking of answers. And because we need to answer, we want this to be the last fight that Ambazonians fight and take over their land. We have experience with Nigeria. They've come into our land, did what they wanted to do, and left. We have experience with La République du Cameroon. They have, for 57 years, they've come in there and done what they wanted to do. And right now, we want them out. So we've experienced the left, we've experienced the right. We want our own country back now. But like we've already noticed, we're not going to get it easily, and we're not going to get it by doing things the same way. Because if you're doing things the same way, expecting different results, I can tell you they will not come. That's my concern. That's what I wanted you to think about, and think about it deeply. Let's start having conversations about this. Who should represent us? Why should they represent us? What is it that expected from them? And after they've negotiated, what is the process of accepting or denying whatever that negotiation is? Those are things that we should be thinking about. I want us to think about them hard, because let this be the last time. Let this be the last time that we finally go back home. We've paid the price. We've paid the price in time. We've paid the price in lost resources. We've paid the price in lost opportunities. We've paid the price in lives. Let's not bungle this again. Let's not mismanage it. Let people not use our struggle to elevate themselves, because that's been the history. If you look at the Atanganjis, the Gogomos, the Nonis, the John Gutes, all these, even the SDF and their parliamentarians and senators, what they do is that they're using the plight of the people of Ambazonia to gain whatever they gain from La République. Okay, that is really what is going on. because they use them to fake a representation of us while they're actually draining the resources out of our country. They're stifling our progress and giving them whatever they give them, and they sit there quietly doing nothing while our people are being slaughtered, our resources are being plundered. Let's make this last stand be the last stand that we're dealing with this thing, so that we can go ahead and build our country and move forward. Thank you.